Welcome to another episode of the Big Umbrella Podcast. That's Big with two G's. I'm going to repeat that. That's Big with two G's, the Big Umbrella Podcast. And I want to welcome on Sophia Ramos.
Hi, thank you guys for having me.
Of course. Like I was telling you earlier, I thought somebody else would have had you on here.
Nope, this is the first one and I'm happy to be a part of it.
I would even like to start off, where are you from? I know you're not from San Diego, but you're doing things out here in San Diego. So where are you from?
Yeah, I'm born and raised in San Antonio, from Texas.
Texas. And what's Texas like for you as opposed to now being in San Diego for the last, I think, 5 years?
Yes, this is my 5th year out here. Texas just feels more like home for me. Born and raised there. I moved out here when I was 18. This has started to feel like home, but it's a vacation spot, comfortable spot for me out here. Home is comfort, just being around my friends and family that I grew up with, and just a lot back there for me.
And when you, like you said, friends and family back there, you have brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I got one younger brother.
And what was that relationship like for you guys?
Yeah, so we, like all brothers and sisters, we're only 2.5 years apart, so we're fairly close. We've bickered like no other. We fought a lot when we were younger. I'm sure my parents had a ball with dealing with us, but as we got older, he always was around me and my friends, so he was always around the older crowd. So as we got older, we got really close. So we're like best friends now. We talk all the time. He actually helped me surprise my parents one time when I came home for spring break. So we've just gotten close, and it's been super cool seeing him grow up and seeing him play.
He played basketball as well?
He does. He's playing basketball at St. Edward's University in Austin. It's a Division II school.
And with you guys growing up in bickering, was that you guys had that rivalry with, because you into basketball as well? So did you guys have that kind of competition?
Every once in a while we did. We grew up when we put one of those like hallway hoops like on one of the doors, and so
the one you dunk and the whole thing comes off.
Yeah. So we it was funny because I was taller than him the whole time growing up, just because I hit a growth spurt earlier than he did, and now now he's probably about a head taller than I am. So I won a lot of those, and I'm a little bit bigger than him, so I got to mess with him a little bit more. Then we grew up a little bit, and when I would work out with him and his AAU coach liked to talk a lot of crap to him and say I was better. So it was always just like
kind of to push him to go a little harder as well.
Yeah, and then in high school, I went to an all-girls school, and he went to a co-ed school, but our schools were rivals. And the brother school that I had would like pick on him because they were considered our brother's school. So it was just funny because we didn't, not within ourselves, have like this, head-to-head stuff, but it was always kind of just thrown at us.
Yeah. And what made you go to an all-girls school?
I grew
up. Was that a choice?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I grew up in private school. My dad, when he went to high school, went to public school. My mom went to, actually the high school I went to, she went to the all-girls school. And so my parents had agreed that once my brother and I got to high school, we could pick if we wanted to go public or private, and then which private school you wanted to go to. So I went to Incarnate-Word High School. All girls. My mom went there. It was super cool. A lot of my friends growing up went there. So it was an awesome little time.
And with you, that was through your whole high school? And I mean, then what was that like once you, obviously what it's like being around other men and stuff like that. But when you didn't do that to high school, was that any different once you were then intertwined, just you and dudes all the time now?
No, Central Catholic was the brother school for us, was like considered the brother school for us because they were all boys. So both of our schools were rivals with my brother's school, which was Antonian College Prep. And so I had friends at both schools. So I was around boys anyway. It just wasn't like
during school.
Yeah, which was really not that different to me because I was in high school with all my friends growing up. Like I went to school with this one girl since kindergarten, and we went to school together for high school. And, you just get close, and it doesn't really faze you that boys aren't there.
Right. And what got you even into playing basketball? I know you said, I think you started when you were 3.
Yeah. So I started when I was 3. It kind of just started as my parents threw me and my brother in pretty much any sport you could think of.
Were your parents in sports?
They were. My mom did volleyball, basketball in high school. And then my dad did basketball and baseball more. And my parents just kind of threw us in sports when we were younger just to keep us busy and occupied. And basketball was just kind of the one that I fell in love with.
Yeah. And that started at 3.
Yes. I did the little church leagues when I was 3. My dad was like my first real coach. And then me and one of my best friends, Avery, we were always like the better ones on our team. And so we both kind of hit an age where we were like, okay, our parents are like, okay, church league isn't really it anymore. So we found an AAU team. We found an AAU team. I started with the South Texas Hoyas. They're not a team anymore, but I started there. And then I moved to San Antonio Finest and got lucky, got recruited, and came out here. And just been one of the best decisions I made.
And what made you choose San Diego?
At the time when I was recruited, the coaches that were here, I had known since I was fairly young. So just from a close relationship standpoint, I mean, it's San Diego also, so how could you pass that up?
Right.
So it was just more of a comfort feel for me.
And when did basketball turn more like it was serious? Like, okay, I could probably do something with this.
Competitively, I moved to that when I was in about 2nd, 3rd grade. So I guess 8, 9 years old. I guess when I was younger with my first team, I was always playing up. So I was always one of the younger ones playing with the high schoolers, playing, so when I started getting calls then, or like the, generic little letters for recruitment, was kind of when like, oh, I guess like,
dang,
I guess I could do something
early.
Yeah, it started when I was fairly young.
Yeah.
But a lot of them were, just generic recruiting letters. I didn't really know what to do with that. My parents didn't play like collegiately. They only played in high school. So it was just kind of like new territory for all of us to kind of navigate.
And then even kind of going back, not even leaving Texas yet. What was that like for you then growing up in Texas and then having to leave?
Oh, I did. I wanted to get out.
Okay.
Well, Texas is home and like my comfort zone. I came out here a few different times for elite camp at San Diego State. And then I loved it there, loved it here. And I knew at least like I was leaving San Antonio to go to San Diego. So it wasn't like I was leaving for the crappy little city,
Right. It was like,
yeah, it was San Diego. It was a nice city, nice state, like good opportunity.
Easy decision.
Yeah. So if there was anywhere I was going to leave to, I'm glad it was here.
And what were you following the basketball team?
Not initially. Once I started getting recruited, it was when I started paying more attention. I just was very like think ahead a little bit. So when I would hear from some schools, I, looked with my dad, okay, who's on the roster? Like what is the chances I actually get to play? Who am I behind? Kind of how long are these people going to be there while I'm there? And
weighing out your options.
Yeah. So San Diego is just kind of where I landed. Once we started hearing from them, we kind of like, oh, let's check them out a little bit, keep up with them, and kind of worked out. And
what was your first year like, you playing?
I had a very, I guess there's more like non-traditional freshman year. I played a lot. I started as a freshman. I played a lot, and it's just not very heard of for freshmen in sports in general when they get to college. So
that honestly went from you starting young, like you said, you already played up, and then you were freshman already playing again.
Yeah, I remember calling my parents and telling them like, hey, I like starting our first game, and they were like, what do you mean you're starting? Like we didn't have the expectation to be starting right away. I wanted to go where I knew I'd have an opportunity, and luckily that was here. And I just was able to fit in, some bigger shoes than I thought when I was coming in at 18 years old. So it was super cool. I had a good group of girls to learn from. A lot of people took me in right away. We bonded fairly quickly, and we didn't win as much as I would have liked, but it was a lot of good memories made.
What was some of the hardest things starting off for you when you just transitioned out here to San Diego as far as basketball goes?
Oh, the pace of the game for sure. The pace. I joke around a lot, but like I'm one of the slower people, but I use my IQ and angles better. So it doesn't come across as slow, I guess.
Right.
So the pace was definitely something different. And honestly, the strength as well. Like you're, like 18 years old coming in, playing against 22, 23, 24 even, like playing against some grown women. And, I'm still a kid just coming on in and finding my way. So the pace and the strength was definitely something different for me.
And then with you going on, like you figuring out your way basically in the lineup, did that transition off into your second year? You went better, or that kind of went low for you?
I think I kind of hit the sophomore slump a little bit in terms of scoring.
Right.
But I don't think it was like a drop off at all. I think I hit it initially, and then I was like, oh, like crap, like what am I, like what's going on? And then luckily the coaches, one of our coaches, Nick Grant, he always was, oh, well, let's work out 30 minutes before practice, 30 minutes after, So I was able to find my way out of it thanks to like our staff and my teammates, because at the end of the day, we all were still just like, you're going to get out of it. You're going to be fine. It's not it's not the end of the world.
Right. Now, and even like I was telling you earlier, like, what's that like for you have now, you who did all your years here, and the numbers came out to like you broke records and shit like that?
Yeah, it's kind of funny because I had no idea about like how close I was in a lot of stuff or how high I was in a lot of stuff. I kind of found out when everyone else would find out on social media, just like as our media people were tweeting out, oh, second place in this, second in this, second in that. And for me, it was never about the records.
Right.
I came in and I wanted to have a good career. I wanted to find a place I could, put myself in the best position to succeed. And then the records kind of were just the cherry on top. I mean, it's super cool. Like I definitely haven't sat to reflect on kind of what I've done out here, but it's been super cool to see. And it was a great group of girls to kind of go ahead and go through all of that with.
And with you ending with that cherry on top, why not think to go further?
While I do like to be out of the house and out and about, I just don't love the idea of being overseas, because at least here in San Diego, I can fly home on a weekend if I want to. And it's fairly easy to get back versus, I'm in another country. I'm like far away. I'm also fairly picky about where I'd want to go. But I'm also ready to be a fan for my brother. I haven't gotten to see him play a collegiate game in person in his 2 years playing. So I'm ready to get back and tie him up, hang him up, and go ahead and be a fan now.
With like women's basketball, why do you feel like is not as popular?
I think it's luckily picking up now. I think a lot of
I feel it definitely picking up now.
I think a lot of the trash talking that's taking place in, the tournament this year that we saw, is kind of shining a light, showing it's definitely showing. But I just think it was because we're not as flashy as men, you don't see a lot of girls being able to dunk or do, the flashy things. You just see a lot of more IQ and a lot more fundamentals and stuff like that. So I think for just any fan watching, it doesn't look as fun to watch versus like you go watch any NBA game, you're seeing 3, 4, 5 dunks a quarter by people, just something crazy, freakish athletics, but I think the women's game is starting to transition more so. You're getting more people talk a lot of mess, go ahead and being a little bit more flashy, doing stuff like Caitlin Clark from shooting basically from half court, right? Like, and you get, there's just a lot more coming now.
Right. And with that, like you said, in transitioning, what would that, I don't even know if you could speak on it or not. What would that transition like be for you with trans women? Basically, I always think of it like they transition to be a woman, but they still have man strength. So what would that be like? What would you feel like that would be like for you?
I don't know. I think, it'd probably be a little bit stronger.
That's my only thing.
But I think like at some point, right? Like you're just as skilled or athletic, like I don't think there'd be that much of a difference, but I also don't know because I've never had to,
Yeah.
So it'd be definitely something different to see. But I'm not really sure.
Have you ever dunked in a game?
No.
Do they allow you guys to dunk?
If you can, yeah.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
So that's not like you don't dunk or nothing like that. But if you can, then for sure. Have you seen somebody dunk?
I played with Nalissa Smith. She plays on the Indiana Fever now. I've seen her dunk a couple times. We played together for AAU. I've seen, I've just seen highlights of people dunking. Brittany Griner dunking in college, like
that. I think I've seen that.
Yeah.
One.
So,
what was some of your best moments with you playing in San Diego State?
This year, I'd say for sure I hit a buzzer beater against Portland.
I see that.
That was probably one of my most
glass, right?
Yeah. Play wasn't for me; it was for my roommate, actually, Mercedes. And she wasn't open. I made a read, went ahead and shot a shot. I shoot. I make 9 out of 10 times. So.
Oh, word.
That was probably one of my favorite ones this year. But I think I think my freshman year, we made it to the semifinals in the conference tournament, and I had a team. I was in a little shooting slump, but we ended up coming back, upsetting the number 2 seed, New Mexico, and my teammate at the time, Najee, she was just kind of like, one of the things that we always remember is she telling me, you know, like, this is your quarter. And I went off for 15 in the fourth quarter, and we came back, tied it, went ahead, went to overtime, and ended up winning. And they had player of the year, freshman of the year, you know, any award you could think of.
Damn, like you said, like you said, now even probably speaking about it, you get some time to think about, like, damn, I did do this, I did this, that. What's been some of the hardest moments for you?
My junior year was tough for me because I broke my hand. So that was the first time I'd ever had to sit out from any game. I was out 10 weeks or something like that. Damn. So that was tough from the mental side, just not being able to play. I thought at the time, you know, I found out, I'm over there crying in my trainer's arms, like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm done, blah, blah, blah. Then I ended up coming back. So it was, you know, it worked out, but it wasn't a full season. So I definitely, that was one of my more challenging times. Last year, we didn't win a lot. It was just a very different experience of my 5 years here. So that was a little bit tougher to be around. But beginning of the year, this year was tough. I came out here getting ready for summer workouts. And then my grandma takes a turn and passes in July. So then I miss all of the summer out here. And I basically am a new face on the team because we had a lot of newcomers coming in. So it was just very tough finding my footing again, basically feeling like a freshman when I was actually a veteran here.
Right. So is that why you said earlier, like, it was hard for you to come back for the 5th year?
Yeah, my grandma was diagnosed in October with cancer. And then I initially was ready to be done anyway. And then I wasn't enjoying myself as much anymore playing. And then I thought, like, okay, if I decide not to take this year and go be a grad assistant somewhere, then I can at least be around my grandma more before she had passed. So it was definitely hard. But then, you know, my coaches gave me some time to think about whether I wanted to come back or not. So I kind of had the open door and some time to decide. It was no pressure at all. So I made the decision to come back, and I'm very happy I did too.
And this is just me assuming, I feel like basketball has taken away a lot of your personal time.
I don't think I would have thought that initially until my grandma had gotten sick, because I wasn't there every day like my mom was to help take care of her. You know, as an athlete, you only get, especially in basketball, like, you don't get to go home for Thanksgiving. You don't get to go home for like the holidays, like a winter break that long, because you're still in season. Oh. So like, we hosted a Thanksgiving tournament out here this year.
Oh, damn.
This was my 2nd year in San Diego for Thanksgiving. I've been to Vegas. We did the Bay Area, San Diego a couple times. So usually you're still in season. So I was missing Thanksgiving with her. You know, I was just missing a lot of like those things, but it was never a big deal to me because like at the time she wasn't sick, you know? So, I'd say more so now just because she got sick, but then I, you know, got to enjoy my time out here still. My parents come out here often to, you know, come watch games, vacation a little bit. This year I had some family friends come out. So, I mean, while it did take away a lot, I was also getting to experience a lot that other people don't get to.
Right. What was your maybe favorite away game experience?
Oh, playing in San Antonio. I got to play at home. It was cool because it was my sophomore year. We were playing at University of Incarnate Word, which is actually right next to my high school. So it was super cool getting to come back home. And, you know, we joke around because we had probably more fans than the hometown team. And it was, you know, 3 of us on the team were from Texas. I was from San Antonio. So like my family themselves, there was probably at least 100 people there. So it was just kind of cool because the homecoming feel, we win. I got a lot of people who didn't get to see me play before got to see me play. But that was definitely my favorite.
Yeah, man, like you said, like, and you guys won that
game.
That's crazy. And then you got it's like it was a away game, but it felt like a home game because so many people came out to support you.
Right.
So that's even better. When you talked on the mental aspect of you coming back after an injury. What was that to like overcome, thinking like, okay, I can't do it again after coming back from a broken hand?
I have one of the best trainers in the world. Queenie Soriano is our athletic trainer here, and she was about as locked in with me as we've ever been. We're super close. And she, we had this whole plan the whole time, like, we're gonna rehab as if you're not coming back, but we're gonna, shoot for a goal to get cleared. So, she was very good with me. She kind of kept me level headed with everything, because I was ready, like, gosh, I can't even touch my fingers together anymore because my hand had been in a big cast for 6 to 8 weeks, whatever, then moved down to a brace. And Queenie helped me a lot with all of that. And then Nick was one of our assistant coaches at the time, and he worked a lot with me, just keeping me in shape, some kind of game shape. We were doing on-court workouts for a little bit. It was a lot of just left-handed stuff because I couldn't use my right hand. And then once I was able to start using it more, it was starting to ease your way back in. Our strength and conditioning coach, Justin, had me conditioning, running up and down the stairs in the arena. So I had a lot of people in my corner to, kind of keep me on the path.
Grind.
Yeah. To, ultimately try to get cleared, which I did, but, not knowing that was going to happen at the time.
I'm sure like that was scary, you not knowing, because basically all you knew was basketball. So then thinking like, God damn, I don't know if I'm gonna come back from this. That was the scary experience. But then to actually come back, I'm sure it felt even better. And then to end off how you did is like, that's like the Cinderella story. Yeah,
it was awesome. I was really happy I could come back. I had teammates at the time who I was going to be done playing with had I not come back, and I was able to come back. My first game back, I had my 1,000 point like in my career, so I had a lot like going still. Yeah,
that even sounds like 1,000 points.
Yeah.
So now, with you wrapping up basketball, what's your plans going back to Texas?
I want to work with special needs kids in some aspect. I don't want to teach, but I want to be in like an adaptive sports type hands-on thing. I don't know if that'll be the first thing I do when I get back, but that's what the end goal is in some shape or form.
What got you so invested with kids? Because like you touched on earlier, like you love kids. What brought that out of you?
Well, when I was in high school, I had to get service hours. There's a place called Davidson Respite House, and it was just a house that had kids in it who parents maybe couldn't provide for them, couldn't take care of them. So it was kind of like a foster home type of thing. And we'd have to volunteer there, and you get to play with the kid. You're supposed to help clean up the place a little bit, help wash the cars. You basically do like the household things that, they don't always have time for. But then we get to play with the kids, and they always just put a smile on my face. I have good family friends here now that our assistant coach passed, who has 4 kids that I got to hang out with. And, the whole time he was sick and fighting, I got to go do a bunch of fun little things with them. And you just see how happy they are, and knowing that like you're a part of the happiness is just something that I've always enjoyed.
Definitely. Outside of basketball, what else did you enjoy out here in San Diego?
Oh, I love being in the sun. I love going to the pool. I love going to the beach. I've started going on more walks out here. Just the scenery has been fun. So whatever with sunset, sunrise, just hanging out, and I like to just relax a lot.
I was even thinking, what got you through you being away from, you're big on family, like the mental struggle, like who was there for you to help you get through those mental struggles from you having to be away and things like that?
I didn't really struggle being away from home. I think my freshman year, like I wasn't cleared right away because they thought they had heard something with my heart. So I had to go get cleared with the cardiologist, do that. I told my mom, and my mom's like, oh my God, like, are you okay? Do I need to stay? Like whatever. And I was like, like, I'm fine. Y'all can go, whatever. Yeah. And I think at some point my freshman year, they were just kind of like, are you ever going to call? Like, what are you doing? And so I didn't really struggle being away from home. I think technology helps a lot, right? Because I can call, FaceTime, text. You can communicate all hours of the day. I didn't start struggling till my grandma had gotten sick, honestly. And it was more so just because like I couldn't be there to help whenever like was needed. And so, just FaceTiming really was a big thing. And then this year I just had a lot of loss, people passing. And one of my friends, Megan, we've gotten really close this year. And, she's very just like super laid back, chill. We go on walks, we go hang out, go get Starbucks, just keeping my mind off by going to do just whatever. Exactly.
Just normal, regular stuff help you keep a balanced mind.
Yeah. Because there has to be a balance. Beating around the bush, right? Like if, like my coach just passed last Thursday, like, instead of just like walking on eggshells, trying to figure out like, are you okay? Are you okay? Like kind of going on as normal with still just the check-ins as well,
what made you be so giving? What brought that out of you? Because it seemed like you just really giving.
I don't know. I really don't know if there was just a certain thing, if it's just how I was. My parents are great people anyway, and they've always been giving people as well. So I'm sure I got a lot of it from them. Between my brother having teammates that basically lived with us the whole time growing up. They'd come over almost every weekend, stay, hang out, like you never asked when you're going home because you didn't care. So I grew up with one brother, but it felt like I had 2, 3, 4. And then I had a best friend who I played AAU with, and my parents just we took her to a lot of places with us for tournaments because whether her parents couldn't get there or not because of work, like my parents just gave and made sure other people had stuff as well. So I think I got a lot of it from them.
If you didn't continue with basketball, do you feel you would have continued to go to college and pursue school?
Yeah, I would have. My parents saved money with a thing back in Texas. I think it's called like Texas Tomorrow or something like that. And basically they had saved enough money for me to go to an in-state school. I wouldn't have gotten to do just nothing, right? I would have gone to school, probably gotten a job and work and help with stuff. Wouldn't have been living the way I'm living out here now. But yeah, no, my parents were fully prepared and ready in case basketball wasn't going to happen.
So even after now, you got a degree in what did you get a degree in?
I got my undergrad in kinesiology with a psych minor, and I graduate this coming Friday with my master's in counseling and education with a focus in mental health. Yeah.
And and like you're just kind of saying, with you having those degrees, that's going to help you with what you're trying to pursue afterwards.
Yeah.
So that's I usually ask people who do go to college, like, do you feel you going to college helps as opposed to if you didn't go that route? Obviously you can't go back in time.
Yeah, I don't know, but I've seen a lot of people be successful without college as well. I think if you know what you want to do and you want to set your mind to it with or without a degree, like you're going to get it done at some point. I think maybe a degree helps in terms of maybe a starting point, but I've seen people be successful without school as well. So I think it's just a work ethic determination thing that a lot of people.
Is there any, I know you said like you didn't want to play overseas. Is there anywhere that could have convinced you to play overseas?
My mom and I always joke about it. I think if I would have ended up in like Rome or something like that, like I love Italian food anyway, so it would have worked. But even then, I don't really know if I would have.
Yeah, because it's like almost like you said, like you ready to hang it up now and not even have to do that anymore. Yeah,
I talked to some of my friends about it sometimes, and I'm like, I just don't have the itch to play anymore. And I knew once I didn't have that, like it was definitely time to call it.
What do you feel gave you? Because I honestly, I don't hear a lot of people who like play ball and stuff like that. That like, I basically lost the love for the game.
I don't think I've ever. I think I still love it. I think it's just in a different way now.
You love it like you don't want to have to play it anymore.
Yeah, like, college basketball is a great experience. I think everyone that gets the chance to do it, I think, while everyone goes a different route and different journey, maybe different experiences, like I think one thing everyone can agree on is like you love the relationships you build and like some of the memories you get from it. So I think for the 5 years I played, it was some of the best years that I've ever had. And I think now I just love being a fan of it. I love watching basketball. March Madness is my favorite time of the year because I get to watch basketball all day, every day, just consecutive days in a row. San Antonio hosts sometimes, so I get to go to games, and I just love being a fan. So I think I'm loving basketball just from a different area now.
Do you prefer men's basketball over women or women over or men, or how does it go for you?
I love women's basketball more. I think some of it is just because I also know more people playing. So when you get to watch friends play or just people know, you get a different kind of love for it.
Yeah.
But then like I went to the men's Final Four this year because San Diego State was in it. So I went to go watch the championship game in Houston, drove with my mom there, drove with her back, and it was a cool little experience. But I love going to either games. It doesn't really matter to me which ones I'm going to watch.
Definitely. Did you ever when you said I don't want to mess that up, it was like basically when college players are able to make money off of their likeliness. How did you feel? When was that introduced to you?
I think it was implemented maybe last year or the year before. It's fairly new still.
Right. Because I don't know much about it.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't pay much attention to it. I think it was last year it was implemented because at the time I wasn't going to come back. So I was like, it doesn't make a difference to me because I'm not going to do anything in a year. Like, I don't post enough on social media to even where like, you know, people are going to want you to post for them. But I think it's a cool thing. I think that like there are people who build their brand and like it sucks when you don't get to make anything off of it and you're putting all this extra work in addition to school, basketball, like a social life, and now you're doing like this stuff marketing yourself, but you don't get any type of benefit from it. So I think it's super cool that like people are able to now. Now I think it kind of sucks in terms of like a recruiting thing because if you're like a lower mid-major, like you probably miss out on some people who because like of the money side of things because people can offer more just in whatever aspect. So I think that kind of stinks a little bit, but I think it's a super cool thing. Right. I love seeing people that I know succeed with it.
And with the way women's basketball is going now, what do you feel that they can do to even excel it to a next level?
I think the WNBA needs to expand first.
Like a couple more teams.
Yeah, there's just so many people that get cut because like there's just not enough roster spots. And like, you know, at some point it just sucks because you're like back and forth like, oh, I'm on a team, I'm not on a team, I'm on a team, I'm not on a team because there's just not enough. So like you add 2-3 more teams, you add another 30, 40, 50 spots because each team needs X amount of players. Right. So you just have more opportunity to actually play. So I think once the WNBA expands, you get to have more people who should be in the league.
Right. And that's crazy because like I didn't even know how long has the WNBA even been around?
Honestly, I'm not too sure. Like,
and for it to, because I know it's been a while, and for them to still not have enough teams, and like you just said, they have to cut players because they don't have enough roster spots. Like, I didn't even know that was the thing for reals.
Yeah, I mean, like, the WNBA draft only has 3 rounds, and it's not like 3. You know, like the NBA draft has 30 picks, like 60 total picks in 2 rounds. The WNBA only has 3 rounds with 12 picks each. So there's only 36 people getting drafted.
Oh, wow.
So of the people getting drafted, like only probably 3, maybe 5 max make a roster spot. Dang. So you're like, you know, the best of the best are getting drafted, but even then they're still getting cut. So
dang, I did not know that.
Yeah. So that's why right now it's just a crazy time because WNBA draft happened. People are getting signed, picked up, free agents, whatever. But teams are making their cuts already because like you need roster spots. So like you could literally get signed one day and within 2 days later get cut. And then another team could pick you up within the next day or 2. So it's just like a very crazy like process.
Yeah. And then with you saying it's like you could get cut and picked up the next day, then I got to move to a whole nother state and transition my life. And
I have a friend that I played with. Her name's Kiana Williams. She won a championship at Stanford. She got drafted by the Seattle Storm, then would get cut, would get picked up again, then would get cut. This last year got picked up by Connecticut. I worked out with her at we had the same strength and conditioning coach back home. We were working out together, and I think by the next day, we were like 3 days in. The next day she was off to Connecticut because she got picked up. Like you literally are picking your life up like at the drop of a dime. You get a phone call and you're out.
That for me, I mean, I know you would love chasing your dream and playing in the WNBA, but that with you having a family, that would just be something crazy to have to do on the drop of a hat. We got to move from San Diego to Connecticut or then there. It's like, and then you got to pick up, I mean, I'm guessing they're supplying enough money for you to pick up your life. And
you don't make a lot in the WNBA. That's why a lot of players will go overseas to play as well. So like it's crazy because like college, you're basically in a year-round season because you got to come back. At least for me, I had to come back in July. You were required to come for summer session 2. Some people come for summer 1 in June. So you're here from June to May for school. Your season finishes in March or April. And so you're just going consistently. Damn. And so in the WNBA, like you get drafted, you're in training camp, and then like your season's in the summer. But once season's over, you're going wherever you're going overseas to make more money to kind of have like, you know, enough to like feel stable enough.
I could see why you probably wouldn't want to continue after this because like you said, you have a friend and you see firsthand what it's like to have to even get in the WNBA and then let alone get in to stay.
Yeah.
So that's already tough enough. So I could definitely see why that wouldn't want to be something you want to pursue and then go with what you got with your degree, you've been going to school for this long. It's like, damn near now I should put this to use.
Yeah.
Definitely. I can see now why. I see it. And these are things that I didn't know about this. So if anybody who's in like what would be the best advice you could give to somebody who's pursuing college ball?
Probably just to stay true to who you are. I was not recruited by, I was recruited by a lot of schools, but not offered by a lot of schools coming out of high school. And one of my AAU coaches, Coach Ray, he was big on, he uses me as a big example because I found my fit and I succeeded where I fit. I wasn't, trying to chase the name of a school. I wasn't trying to go Power 5. I wanted to go where I could play and be successful. So I would just stay true to who you are. You don't need to be flashy, do any of the crazy things. Just kind of perfect what you're good at.
Definitely. I feel that was a great way to even end it. That was perfect. I was like, oh damn, that was that's perfect. Like you say, stay true to who you are. And you obviously did that because they use you for example for that. I just want to let people know what else you have going on and how they can reach you and anything like that.
Yeah, I get ready to move back home at the end of the month. I'm excited for that. And, just trying to figure out what's kind of next. The ball stopped, and now it's time to kind of figure out what the adult world looks like without sports being at my hands,
And for those who still looking to follow you on social media or anything like that.
Yeah, I have Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. All of them are Sophia_Ramos with 3 S's at the end. And I think there's a 3. So Sophia_Ramos 3. Sophia's with a PH too, not an F.
There you go, Chad. Exactly. Because sometimes you got to let them know. And with that being said, it's been another episode of the Big Umbrella Podcast, and it's a wrap. Well, let's get some tacos, nigga. Can we really get some tacos? You trying to get some tacos? Let's get some tacos, nigga.